Welcome to another entry in my Sonic Adventure 3 series. These are a collection of videos where I attempt to redesign gameplay styles of iconic Sonic characters for a theoretical new title under the adventure formula. The ideas I present here are intended to still feel as if they could fit alongside the existing adventure titles whilst also trying to evolve the formula. One of the main goals of this series is to show how Sonic and Friends can all participate in entertaining experiences that do not need to lean upon 2D gameplay sections. Now then, it's time to see what our esteemed treasure hunter is capable of.
Here I come! Get ready!
Although absent from most recent games, Rouge has had her fair share of meaningful appearances across the Sonic lineup. Her debut appearance and also her first playable role was in Sonic Adventure 2, where she played as a clone of Knuckles with minor differences. Character-wise though, she differed a lot from Knuckles, with her own skills and experiences which would be better represented in her later playable incarnations. My aim for Rouge is to give her a distinct identity whilst not completely shedding the roots of her Adventure and 06 playstyles. As such, I will be taking inspiration from not only her playable appearances, but her character, mainly being her skills as a spy. For the purposes of this video, we will be referring to an Xbox controller when assigning functions to buttons. Rouge can be directed by moving the left thumbstick. She starts off walking but will almost immediately transition into a jog, which soon after reaches a sprint. If the thumbstick is not fully held in a direction, the player will limit how fast Rouge can go, which may be useful in platform heavy sections. Turning whilst moving at high speeds should not drastically impact Rouge's speed, unless the turn exceeds 180 degrees, in which she'll play an animation where she readjusts herself. Basically, she should control as she does in SA2, good speed and responsive turning. Pressing the A button will cause Rouge to jump. She does so in a ball much like in Adventure 2, and as such her jumps can both interact with items and harm enemies. Jumping either from a standstill or whilst moving should feel snappy and responsive, again like in SA2. Once in the air, Rouge can perform some additional actions if the A button is used again. Holding A will allow Rouge to use her glide, which works under the same properties as it did in SA2, where the drop-off was gradual and it could build decent speed. Where things are shaken up though, is that if you tap A instead, Rouge will flap her wings to ascend higher. Doing so will cause a stamina wheel which will indicate how much energy she has remaining, much like Tails. Unlike Tails, Rouge's flight is mostly used for vertical height and is less effective at moving horizontally. That is what gliding is for. Rouge will not regain her stamina until she touches the ground, and gliding will also use up a tiny amount of flight stamina. It is possible to fly out of a glide and vice versa, so long as Rouge has enough stamina to do so. Naturally, jumping or gliding against a wall will allow Rouge to climb the surface. She will not regain stamina whilst climbing, but it also doesn't take any flight stamina to climb. Something some of you may find controversial is that Rouge can no longer dig in any way. I decided to remove this as it was really just a carryover from being a clone of Knuckles. Rouge has never involved digging in any other appearance, and this distinction helps set them apart more. As for her grounded capabilities, pressing the X button will cause Rouge to perform a quick kick. This can be done 3 times for a 3-hit combo. If done whilst moving, a different 3-hit combo is used, which will not slow her down, but be harder to aim. AKA a more polished implementation on how her melee moves functioned in SA2. The final hit of her running combo could be a horizontal drill dive that glides across the floor. Holding X whilst running will cause Rouge to slide, which works just like Sonic's slide from the Boost games, dealing damage and allowing her to slip under narrow gaps. Pressing X whilst in the air performs the drill dive. Whilst Rouge will not dig upon reaching the ground, it is still useful to quickly descend or to deal a lot of damage to stronger enemies. Also, just like with my SA3 playstyle for Knuckles, cancelling the startup of the drill dive with a glide will convert into a large boost of momentum, which can be a useful skill to master. Pressing X on a wall will cause Rouge to kick it, which can break certain objects or shake others loose. Pressing B whilst on the ground will instead cause Rouge to throw one of her bombs from Sonic 06. If there are no valid targets nearby, she throws it in the direction of the camera, but if targets are in range, the game will also lock on in a way similar to how guns would lock on in the Shadow the Hedgehog game. Holding the B button instead causes Rouge to place her heart mine from 06 in front of her. This can even be placed on enemies to deal massive damage. Whilst in the air, tapping the B button will cause Rouge to quickly throw a ball. Holding the B button will instead cause Rouge to float in place before throwing 5 bombs in rapid succession, much like in Sonic 06. When climbing, tapping B drops 1 bomb below Rouge, and holding B plants a heart mine on the wall. Rouge is a skilled spy and has plenty of experience with sneaking into highly guarded locations. I wanted to bring this element of her character into the gameplay, and as such, I have added 2 important mechanics. The first of these is a simple stealth system. Sonic Adventure 2 had a very rudimentary stealth mechanic for Rouge during Egg Quarters, where a specific robot would not be able to find her if she waited in the shadows. That was the full extent of the mechanic back then, but I have expanded upon it. By pressing the left thumbstick in, the player can cause Rouge to crouch. Whilst crouched, she will have a decreased top speed and acceleration, but the trade-off is if she is within shadows or obscuring environments, enemies will have a harder time detecting her presence. Having this feature affect all enemies rather than one makes it far more interesting to use and to design around. For a player, stealthing behind a robot just to plant a mine on its back can be satisfying. For an encounter designer, stealthing lets them add more elements to stage events. An example of this is a boss that can only be hurt while Rouge is not detected, and has an arena that gives her space to hide. Naturally, if Rouge is climbing on a shadowed or concealed surface, that will also count as stealthing. This system is rather minimalist for stealth, but this is intentional so that it does not disrupt the flow of the adventure playstyle. The other mechanic I have added to Rouge is called Echolocation. This is an alternative vision mode that is not too dissimilar from other games such as the Batman Arkham series or Assassin's Creed. It can be activated with the right bumper and grants the player the ability to see through walls. This wouldn't be a crystal clear viewpoint though. Think more along the lines of seeing the world only by the outlines of objects and creatures. Sure, you can see through things, but without proper information such as texture, colour and lighting, the image may still be a little confusing. The point of this mechanic is to play on Rouge's bat traits in a way that can also aid level design. For the general objectives that Rouge will need to overcome, I envision a series of levels focused around infiltration. Her objective could be to reach a specific object, collect numerous items, or perhaps escape from something, which would basically just be a Sonic-styled action stage. The typical Rouge mission would be collecting or locating something, but with a bit of a twist that differentiates this from Knuckles. Using the echolocation feature, most of the time the player will be able to locate their objective at the start of the level. The catch is whilst you may be able to see the objective, the path you must take to reach it is far less clear. Switching between regular and echo vision will be necessary in order to figure out how you are going to progress. Some things simply cannot be seen outside of echo vision, whilst others may be obscured by it. Lasers will not show up through echolocation. In addition to this, some areas will be considered to have a high amount of noise, which causes echovision to display a white screen. There could be a boss battle which would have a fast and deadly attack that has a warning before activation, but the warning can only be seen with echolocation. However, it may also have a move that generates noise to flare the screen and stun Rouge if the player was hit whilst echolocation was active. The Seeker Beetle from Egg Quarters would be a great hazard to include with these additional mechanics. Much like how it functioned in SA2, the player would need to be mindful of its location and avoid detection, but now aided by a more in-depth stealth system and the echolocation. Getting caught would need a harsher penalty, like resetting the mission though. As I alluded to earlier, I think it would be good to give Rouge one mission where you were simply trying to reach the end of a stage, which could easily be themed around a time limit or an escape. The adventure games feature gymnastic poles, which are typically only for speed characters. I would place interactions like them into Rouge's stages, as I think it would fit her well. And those were the ideas I had for a possible return of playable Rouge under an adventure formula. I quite like the playstyle I came up with here. To me, it truly feels like an evolved version of her original gameplay. What are your thoughts about this version of Rouge? Do you think I went too far, or perhaps not far enough? Comment below and let me know. Thank you for watching my video all the way to the end, I appreciate it. I hope you had a great day and to see you next time. This is the Mighty Emperor, signing off.